ROC 93.5, The Rock.
It's the all-new Leave It to Beaver, starring Barbara Billingsley. Fun, Tony Dow, and Billy Idol as the Beaver.
Dear, Mom. Did you notice how he had his hair cut this afternoon?
No, I didn't see him. Did he have it cut too short?
No, but you should see what he had that barber do to him. Like, it's up on the side, and in the back it sort of goes all like this, and it's all full of oil. Well, honey, I can't describe it. You just have to see it.
Well, let's take a look at it.
Not safe to start again.
You see what I mean? Isn't that terrible?
It certainly is.
Boy, he just looks like a gangster. You know, the next thing he's going to be wearing a leather jacket and motorcycle boots.
Come now, dear. You've been watching too many of those live television shows.
Wouldn't you think he could see how ridiculous he looks to us?
Oh, I'm sure he will see sooner or later, June, but in the meantime, it's practically impossible for parents to make a boy see himself through their eyes.
Well, I wish he'd see himself through somebody's eyes. I've just about had enough of this.
Beaver, would you pipe down? You're making me nervous.
Today, there's a beer for everyone.
Hey, me and the guys are going out for beer. You want to come along? Nah, I got a lot of data to enter into the computer tonight.
Now, there's a brew for the future.
Want me to bring you something back? Thanks, but I got some right here.
Microsoft Brew.
You got a beer tap on your computer?
With a head so thick you can float a mouse on it.
Let me get this straight. You make your own beer with the computer? With the right software, you can do anything.
Microsoft Brew.
Here, I call this one Windows 95. I don't know, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
And if you got to get there quicker, try the new ISDN malt liquor.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, "I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar." Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, "I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar." And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
You're listening to the Fast Plastic Radio Network. It's about the game.
And welcome to Fast Plastic Radio Network with JB and your host, Billy O.
How you doing, JB?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Maybe bump me down a few decibels on the headphones.
All right. You tell me when.
Test 1, 2, 3, right there.
All right.
That's perfect. It's always those last second adjustments.
Absolutely. So for those of you that have tuned in tonight on Facebook, thanks for tuning in. And I don't know what it's been like where you guys are at, but yesterday it was a 70-degree day here in wonderful Southern Illinois, and the tornadoes were rampant. And today it's about 38 degrees. As you noticed, weather changes all the time. I noticed that you're bundled up over there, Billy.
Yeah, I came in prepared tonight because these studios, the temperature fluctuates up, down. With it being as cold as it is outside, I broke out some of my old hunting gear, and got to be prepared, right?
Absolutely. I noticed, we were talking about the studio hot and cold management. They don't like to pay the electric bill here, but however, they keep upgrading the studio. We've got this brand new monitor now. We've added some more trophies and stuff in here. And speaking of added trophies, I kind of felt left out with all the wiffle ball trophies and all the wiffle ball memorabilia in here. As you see, you're sitting right there by you. I brought in one of my prize-winning trophies right there.
This one?
No. It's
right here?
No. Keep going. It's the big rock. Yes.
Right here.
Yeah, that rock.
That is a big rock.
That is that's my trophy from back when my rock throwing competitions.
You mean back the Canadian rock throwing?
Absolutely.
League?
Yes.
So that's what you were given as a trophy?
Yes. That was a first place trophy. I mean, that's because it's so big.
So was that back before the days of all the travel flying restrictions? And how?
It was actually, yes. It was long before TSA got involved.
Okay, I started to say, because nowadays guys win a trophy and they wonder how they're going to get it home on the planes and such. So yeah,
Right.
I couldn't even imagine carrying home a bag of rocks.
Well, we had a carry-on bag for the actual throwing rocks that we carried, and
Yeah.
that we had to check because of the size. They wouldn't
Well-
let me put it in the overhead compartment.
Well, I have to say, that's pretty cool. I'm glad you brought that in. Kind of adds to the ambience in here.
Absolutely. I figured that we would display that. Then also, while we're talking about wiffle ball stuff, I see we have a new jersey on the door over here.
New Jersey is on the door?
Well, a new wiffle
New
ball jersey
Oh,
there.
yeah, that's our featured. Actually, too, we got a wiffle ball shirt. Everybody that plays wiffle ball probably has a decent collection of shirts or jerseys, whatever. So, yeah, we'll be featuring different ones each week. Tonight, grab
Yeah,
this.
go ahead, and if you want
see
to
if I can work this thing through the system of
let you show that up.
So this is the San Diego Wiffle Ball League Association, whatever it was. I can't even remember who it was that gave me the shirt.
Pretty cool. I noticed that over here on my right, we have another jersey that's been hung on the wall, the Vipers.
Yeah, I figured I'd bring that in and add that. That's a nice piece over there.
Yeah, it's very nice, framed up. So I guess that means it's like a legend type thing. It's been framed and retired.
Well, no, it just sometimes when we get snakes in the studio, I thought maybe they would pull them over your way than rather over here. So.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't like snakes, so
it's already getting warm in here, and I think I'm gonna have to peel the hat. So, man. Anyway, hey JB, tell them about. So you were talking about how we've got some new additions to the studio or whatever. Tell them what else is possibly in the works coming.
Well, we've just recently, this is the second show that we've been streaming Facebook Live and on the Fast Plastic YouTube channel. And of course, we still stream on WROC 93.5.radiostream321.com. So that's 3 forms on the internet. But we're also now looking into utilizing Skype, and hence the new big monitor here. So this way, when we have our guests live, we can get them to Skype in, and we'll be able to see them here as well as talk to them. And then possibly even getting to the point where we're going to be able to stream some wiffle ball video and talk about different things during the video.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I think the 2 people that actually tune into the show would enjoy watching that. So, but I could even see us, if management finds it within their budget, to put up like a 55-inch here on the wall and to get even better detail. And
absolutely, yes, that would be really good.
That would be. Speaking of management, I was told earlier that we were out of coffee, and they said they were going to think about getting you to make the coffee. And I'm like, oh, hang on. I think I'll make the coffee tonight. And they said, yeah, that's good, because every time JB makes a coffee, we get the Environmental Protection Agency called in here.
You make coffee one time with a black sock as a filter, and that's what happens. I don't know.
Yeah. So we got a pretty good show coming your way this evening, right?
We do. Absolutely. It looks like we've got 2 guests that's going to be on the show tonight. Looks like we're going to have a guest from Baltimore that's going to be on. He's going to be our first guest. It's going to be Paul Cook that's going to be joining us via the phone. And then when we come back from a break, our second guest for the night will be Cal Johnson from the great state of Washington.
Yeah. So Paul Cook is going to have some pretty good plastic ball related information. He's going to share hear some stories, and I think it's going to be really interesting. He does a lot of writing that I enjoy reading, and I'm sure a lot of others do. And then Cal Johnson, he's been running a league. Some of you have probably visited his website and checked out their league a little bit. It's interesting. It's like a new take and on how they play, and I'm kind of curious, picking his brain to see how it's all coming along and what it is that he's successful in doing, and where he sees it going from here on out. So anyway, what else, JB?
Well, I was just going to throw out a couple of things here. We've got quite a few people on Facebook that's watching us tonight, and we've got one that says, listening for the first time. Well, welcome to Fast Plastic Radio Network live. And he was curious, are we going to be talking Fast Plastic?
Are we going to be talking Fast Plastic?
Yes.
I don't know. Should we?
Well, I mean, given the show is named the Fast Plastic Radio Network, I think maybe we should briefly talk about it.
All right. We can, I guess. Yeah, why not?
And it looks like we've got, Texas Tim is on.
Texas Tim. All right.
Yeah.
That's my old buddy, Tim Dean. Everybody knows Texas Tim, the legend. Tim, glad you're listening in tonight. And I hope it's a lot warmer down there in the hill country than what it is up here.
Absolutely. And I hope that you're not going to get the weather they're calling for us for tomorrow up here. Actually, I'm Friday. I say tomorrow. I feel like it's Thursday, but they're calling for 5 to 8 inches of snow possibly.
Yeah, that raises some serious concerns I have for guys that are planning to run some tournaments this weekend. I was kind of shooting through tournament calendars and websites, just seeing who's doing what this weekend. And the first one that pops up is I see there's something scheduled in some place called Auburn, Massachusetts. Not really sure where that is, but that's New England, and it looks like they're in the bullseye to get some really bad weather. So I'm doubting that tournament's going to go off. And it was from an association called National Wiffle League, I believe. So if you're anybody out there is with that league or association, shoot me an email, give us a call, whatever. I'd love to talk to you, find out more about what you got going on, and even help you promote what you're doing. I also know Florida, they have a tournament scheduled for this weekend. I think they're probably safe. I was trying to get Alex Unger on the show this evening, but he told me he wasn't available. So I do plan to get him on soon and help him try to pull in teams and, try to grow the sport. And what else was there? There's a few other tournaments scattered around, but I don't know. I really don't want to go in and discuss those because it was like intramural leagues and leper colonies and things like that, and it just I don't really know a whole lot about them. So
leper colonies, they play.
Yeah, they do.
It's kind of difficult, isn't it?
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
Depends. It just depends. So
I was just kind of curious. That kind of caught my fancy. Well, we've got our first guest on the phone, Mr. Paul Cook from Baltimore. I'll get him potted up. Hey, Paul, are you there?
Yep.
All right, you're on Fast Plastic Radio.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Paul, how you doing this evening?
Pretty good. How about you?
We're doing so far so good, I guess. So good to have you on the show. I've known Paul for I would say quite a long time. Gotten to know you a little bit better over the last couple of years, and I can say without question you do a lot of very good work for the sport. And if you could, I think it'd be interesting for you to tell us a little bit about your background in playing some plastic ball, or in just your background in general. And I think that'd be pretty interesting, and that will kind of lead us into some other topics that we're going to talk about.
Sure. So I've been playing football for it'll be 20 years this year, actually. It'll be anniversary of my first tournament. I played the same team the whole time, the Stompers. My brother Tim founded the team, and it was just me, a couple of friends early on, and we just started playing, traveling to all the tournaments around. And then from there, we just, last 20 years, I've, played at least once a season every year. I'm not sure what else you want to know, but, that's basically it. We ran 10 tournaments in Maryland for many years. Kind of got out of it for a while. We got burned out in the mid-2000s, but kind of came back a couple years ago running Mid-Atlantic Wiffle Ball. And I've been playing full-time there, really helping run that stuff the last 2 years. That's basically been it.
Yeah, so when you started playing, you were a pretty young guy back then, right? I mean, what were you?
I was 14 in 1998 when we played our first tournament.
Yeah, so your approach, I guess, in playing when you're 14 is quite a bit different than what it would be as a, how old are you today? 30 maybe? Something like that? So
34.
34, I'm sorry. Yeah, so your approach would be quite a bit different. So I'm curious, your first tournament you said you played, where was that?
That was Matt Weller's tournament in Hoboken, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, those were always some pretty good sized tournaments, pretty competitive. And
yes.
And then I know you guys ran a tournament or a few tournaments there in Maryland before you guys decided to leave the sport. But what is it that brought you back into it? I mean, something occur, something happen? I'm curious. What is that?
There really wasn't anything. Like, even when we were out, I never really lost interest in it. For not being actively involved in it, I still thought way too much about wiffle ball, like basically every day. I still wrote about it in my spare time. I still talked about it all the time with my brother and other people. So even though I wasn't actively involved, it was still, always on my mind. I was on Tim and other guys for years to, get back out there. So it's always just kind of waiting for the opportunity. Then we just happened at the end of 2016. Nick Shirey, who we used to play with back in, I guess, the early 2000s, got in touch with us, and he built a field on his property and was trying to hold some tournaments. So we went up there. We got the Stompers back together, me, Tim, our friend Dan, and Nick Schaefer, and we went up there, played a series against them, and I kind of got the wiffle ball going again. Just playing those 5 games, brought all those memories back, and really made us miss playing. So that was sort of the catalyst to jump back in, and we decided to start Mid-Atlantic Wiffle the next year. And run a series of tournaments, and it's just been, off since then. But yeah, it was always something I sort of, it was always something that wasn't too far from my mind. So just once that opportunity came, it was easy to jump back in.
Yeah. So he's working through the board over there. So you, when you first played back in the 90s, what was your initial impression of the sport? Whenever you showed up at that first tournament, you walked out on the field, first game you were playing, I mean, if you can remember, what was going through your mind then?
So I think we were probably a little bit better prepared than a lot of new teams. Tim did a ton of research going into it. We found out about competitive wiffle ball, like, I guess in the summer of 1997. So we had about like a year of sort of reading up on it, and Tim picked all these guys' brains, guys, Coyle and Palanzar. So we had a good idea of what we were getting into. We weren't like some of these teams that show up and really just have no idea what it's all about. But still, when you walk, especially when you're 14 years old and whatever, and you walk out onto those fields, you see all these guys practicing, and you actually see them throwing up close. It's a shock to the system. I remember going out there and, before the first bases started, I kind of conceded the whole thing in my head. We're not going to win a game or whatever. They do the draw for the tournament. We get a team whose name I recognize, which I took as a bad sign, because if I recognize their team name, that means they must have done something. It was a team called the Pork Chop Express that played in a couple of Paladin Stars tournaments. So, again, that just, reaffirms my mind. We're going to lose. This is, this will be fun. We'll still go out there and have fun, but, this isn't going to go well. We get out there, and somehow our pitcher's walking 2 or 3 batters an inning, but he escapes damage, doesn't let up any hits. We end up winning that game 4-0. So that was a real nice confidence, was getting that first win under your belt. Then you kind of feel, you get that first win, you feel like, or at least I felt like it was all going to be, onward and upward from there. And we were just going to, take this whole tournament. We get our butts kicked the next 2 games and we're done. But just that, just having that competition and just sort of getting to see the play up close, it was everything I thought it was going to be, and different in a lot of areas. A lot more the camaraderie I didn't expect, and sort of the community atmosphere, and all that stuff appealed to us. And, I was sold from that moment on.
Yeah. So overall, it would be just a really positive experience that you took from that, which is good, And so if you take that and you compare it to your reemergence, being back in sport, starting up this past season, do you see anything different, from your experience then as to today? Did you have the same feeling of success or being, like most guys that play it, they can't get enough and they're constantly looking for the next outlet, to get out there? Was that similar with you?
Yeah, I think so. Like, when I'm actually out there playing, it honestly doesn't feel any different than it did 20 years ago. It's that same rush and that same excitement you get from, facing the kind of caliber pitching that you can face in this game. Still the camaraderie and all the different people you get to meet and all the different styles. That's still the same. That's still the same for me. I think the game has changed a lot. Just overall, both in terms of gameplay and sort of how it's run. But when you're out there playing, it's still, for me, it's still the same feeling as it was, as a 14-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely gets the juices flowing, I can say. After all these years, I still step in the batter's box against a good pitcher. There's just nothing that beats that, So back, I had spoken with your brother Tim on the phone one day 2 years ago, year and a half, something like that. It's been a while back, and I think I probably caught him off guard, but I told him that I was thinking about doing some different things in the sport, and I hadn't spoken with him in a long time, and we had a good conversation. And anyway, he put me on to basically an online file sharing deal where you guys had stockpiled a whole bunch of material, videos, pictures, write-ups that you'd been stockpiling, and I was able to go through and I read a few of those stories. Anyway, I came up on one. It was the story about your team, the Stompers, and like that first season, how you guys got started and how you progressed over the years, became better, more competitive, and you really started discussing or talking about some of the big matchups, big games, just amazing stories. And anyway, I read about 60 pages of it in record time. It was that interesting to me. And anyway, I'm curious, does that piece still exist? Number 2, when am I going to get to finish that piece? Number 3, how long has that thing been around, and what are you planning to do with that? Are you planning to finish it? Because I think that is something that people need to read. It's just amazing.
I appreciate that. The story behind that is, like I said, I guess 2004 was Stomper's last full-time season. Until these last couple of years, we were burnt out and everything. So 2005 was the first summer in 8 years that I wasn't playing a full-time wiffle ball schedule during the summer, and kind of missing it. Once we're away from it. So that summer I happened to be working at my dad's office, and just didn't really have a lot to do with just trying to pass the time. So missing wiffle ball and not being able to play, I think we played in one tournament that summer. I decided to just go back and write about everything from, our 8 years together as a team, just sort of get it all down on paper. And that was sort of my way, because I couldn't be out on the field of, having a little bit of wiffle ball in my life that summer. So yes, I just, that whole summer I sat in the office. I wrote down everything I could remember about, the past 8 years, tried to, put it in order and tried to convey how I felt and how the team felt, and, all these different times. I think one of the things I like most about the story of our team, of the Stompers, is that we really were, when we started out, we were so young. We kind of had an idea what we were doing, but, not really. We kind of came from this, this basic starting point, this nothing starting point, built ourselves up, got practice, got better, added a key player in Nick Schaefer, and then all of a sudden, became this top level, team. We went from being just a competitive team to a team that, could actually contend and, win a bunch of tournaments. And I think that sort of arc is, not found all that much in wiffle ball. You got a lot of guys that they're not good right away. Unfortunately, a lot of, teams will just, check out. So, I was trying to convey that in writing this, but it was really just me sort of getting down all of our history there. It was never supposed to be anything in my mind at that time, I was never, really going to finish it or publish it or anything. It was just something to share with, Tim and our other teammates, and, throw some stories in there to amuse them. I have given a lot of thought over the years about, either finishing that or doing, or taking that and making it more, more of a clean, finished product. Because I do think the Stomper story, is interesting for those reasons. So I don't know. I mean, maybe someday I'll, it's always been in the back of my mind. It's something to, to finish up. Maybe someday we'll get that, finished product, and we'll put out the official Stompers history book. I don't know how many people will, want to read it, but just to get all that stuff out there, maybe, give a little inside perspective of, what it's like to be in this, crazy sport.
Yeah, but you really did a great job at capturing the emotions and the on the field battles. I don't really know how to describe it, but you captured that in this write-up, in the rivalries that existed between not only your team and others, but players, the things that went on behind the scenes. And that's what was intriguing about it. So I think you definitely, have something there, and I sure as hell would like to see it out there. But so what else do you write? I mean, obviously, you're good at it. So are you doing other things other than wiffle ball related subjects?
No, not really. Like, so my day job, I'm a tax accountant. My degrees are in accounting and finance, and number things like that. So for me, writing sort of escape from all of that to do something different. Use another side of my brain. Use other skills that aren't number related. But I've always liked doing it, but it's always just sort of been a hobby. I mean, me and Tim had a Baltimore Orioles blog for a little while that we wrote at. That for a while I was writing basically daily there until I just got tired of that. But not really. Wiffle ball writing kind of been where I've gone to. I think mainly just because there isn't a whole lot of it. I kind of like the idea of being able to break ground that hasn't been broken before, and sort of write stories that people haven't before. From a history perspective of anything else. I mean, it goes back when I was in high school. I had to do as a senior. I had to do a class project. It's sort of like a capstone project to my high school career. And basically, you could do anything you wanted as long as it had some sort of educational purpose. So I wrote, of course, history of wiffle ball. And I waited for the last minute and all that stuff. So it was a mess, but I threw, I don't know, it was about 100 pages when it was done or whatever. I threw all the articles that Tim had. I gathered those up and went through those, researched those, And, you know, we put it together into what I thought was sort of a history of our brand of the game, you know, the Rick Broly, Palanzar, Fast Plastic, TGA version of the game. So,
right.
Ever since then, I've kind of, you know, I've really been fascinated about the idea of writing about that both football history stuff, current football stuff, just because it is so undercovered. It's you know, you write about baseball and you write about the Orioles and there's hundreds of people doing the same things. You write about wiffle ball, a lot of stuff hasn't been covered yet, and I like being able to, you know, dig into stuff that you know, hasn't received that same attention.
Yeah, the thing about the stories that do surface about the plastic baseball sport is that it's always the same storyline from what my experience has been. It's men playing a kid's sport, starting in their backyard, and they're getting serious. And, you know, I swear that story has been written 500 times at least. And I think you would probably agree with that. That's why when you do something like you've done, it's refreshing, you know. And I think that if these stories ever get out to, you know, the masses of millions, it would change the sport in a positive way forever. So I can see some real value to that. So, but you mentioned something about other things. You said you had written a little bit doing a blog for the Orioles. So you know baseball, right? You are a baseball guru, correct?
You could say that, yeah.
I think you are. I've talked to you a little bit, and I've been at your place, and it's pretty impressive, the knowledge that you possess about baseball. And I myself am a baseball historian, so it's very impressive. But that kind of leads us into where I'm going here. It's so talking to Paul Cook. He is the one of the masterminds behind the Mid-Atlantic wiffle scene, currently running tournaments in the York, Pennsylvania area, and have a big tournament coming up here in 2 weeks. And he does all the work on the website, pretty much all the promotions, him and his brother Tim. So anyway, you do a lot of very in-depth writing, or you have done so, writing articles that have been posted on the Mid-Atlantic site. And I'm hoping all the thousands of listeners out there have had an opportunity to read those articles, because they are impressive. And the most impressive yet, in my opinion, was the last one that was released a few days ago, and talking about former baseball players. I'm talking about high-level baseball players that eventually transitioned into playing our brand of whiff. And it talks about guys, everybody knows their name in the sport, you know, and they made major impacts. You know, they changed the way we approach the game. And again, you've done an excellent job in capturing that, tying it all together so that it makes sense. So what is it? First of all, tell me the name of the article so everybody knows, and then tell me what it was that drew you in to write that piece.
Sure. So the article's Life After Baseball, journeys of three men from professional baseball to competitive wiffle ball. I guess what drew me, my first idea was, I've always kind of been, I wanted to write about these guys that were pro baseball players, became wifflers, but not in that these guys acting out there playing wiffle ball, like you said, like you would get in one of these newspaper articles where it's just sort of this, you know, novelty approach, and this is so goofy. These guys are, you know, good baseball players, and now they're playing this kid sport. I wanted to more, you know, I wanted to really sort of tell, you know, more interesting stories, you know, both from their baseball career and football careers, and show that these guys, you know, it's not just a novelty. It's, you know, it's just something that happens, and, you know, both sports are, you know, highly skilled, you know, competitive things. So originally the idea was I was just going to do like a bunch of different pieces, you know, 5 or 6 different guys. And the guys in the article are Mickey Hyde, Kevin Priceman, and Chuck Hensley. So I was going to do those 3, and I was going to do a few more, like Charlie Fiacco of the A-Bros. I've been something on Chris Bechtold, even though he never really played, and there's a couple of other guys. But after I started writing those, as I started researching those, I realized it was kind of a cool tie between those three guys I mentioned, Hensley, Priceman, and Hyde. Priceman and Hensley were both came out of school the same year in 1980, so they were both in the draft. And Hyde and Hensley actually ended up crossing paths in 2004, Fast Plastic 2005, Fast Plastic 2 as the national championship tournament. So I like the idea of, sort of taking one long narrative piece, starting at the draft in 1980, going all the way to 2004, and sort of showing how these three different guys, they all had real different paths through baseball. Neither one took the same one. Priceman flamed out right away in baseball. Hensley made it to the majors. Hyde overachieved the whole time. So I really like that contrast to get these three different guys. Then when I got the wiffle ball, it was all different. Priceman, never really made a huge mark as a player, but he was, huge to the game in terms of organizing tournaments. You had Hensley, who was just basically a one-man show. At 45, just wowing people with pitching every game for his team. Then you had Hyde, who sort of became a champion wiffle ball player, which I thought was neat because in terms of their baseball careers, he was probably the biggest underdog, and then he's in baseball, but then he sort of became the champion wiffle ball player. So I kind of like that contrast. Yeah, and it was just trying to tell those stories and trying to pick 5 or 6 key moments for each of those guys, both in baseball and wiffle ball, and tying it all together. Really digging below the surface rather than just throwing out. Oh, by the way, these guys also played pro baseball. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. Been happy with the feedback. I know Mickey Hyde got a chance to read it. He had some real nice things to say, and some other people have given real positive feedback. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out and how it's been received so far.
Yeah, I talked to Chuck Hensley briefly, and he read the article and he said wow, he liked it. And he also told me that last year Chuck played some wiffle. He played in a tournament, I believe he said in Central California. He may have said Fresno, I don't remember the location. And he pitched something like 46 innings and
wow, and
gave up 1 or 2 hits, struck out, hundreds. So that guy's how old is he? 55, 54, something like that. He hasn't lost a step.
I think he's over 55 now.
Yeah.
He was 45 in 2004. So yeah, he's close to 60.
Yeah. He did say that it was a yellow bat, using a yellow bat. So, but still, I played against Chuck Hensley a few times. Most people don't realize this, but you mentioned Charlie Fiacco, and who I'm going to talk a little bit about. You didn't really go into him much in the article, but so you had Charlie Fiacco that played for the Abros. He played in the Cubs organization, I believe, as a third baseman, and he was just unbelievable player. And he transitioned into wiffle ball, and in 2001, the Abros won the national championship. Well, most people don't realize this, but Chuck Hensley was on that team. But the Abros, Chuck Hensley was their 6th player. When the rules stated we only allowed 5. So if they had somebody that couldn't make a tournament somewhere, Chuck would fill in. But can you imagine what that team would have done if Chuck Hensley would have shown up at the 2001 championship series at Lakeside Park? It would have been just unbelievable. But Chuck Hensley, Chuck Hensley, Charlie Fiacco on the same team. But not bragging here, but I actually played against all those guys, and in some era, somewhere, with the exception of Priestman, because as far as I know, he didn't play a whole lot. He was just an organizer. He's a really nice guy. But I played against all those guys. And in my opinion, Charlie Fiacco was a guy that was incredible. To me, when he pitched, it seemed like he would throw just hard enough, to where he didn't show you anything. He threw just hard enough to get the ball by you. and he only threw 2 pitches that I can remember. He threw a really hard slider and a really hard riser. But I saw a couple of games that I was in where, you know, we started hitting him and he dialed it up. He'd add another 15 miles per hour on the pitch, and you just couldn't do anything with it. So in my opinion, of all those guys, what I was getting at, I think he was the best of all of them. Really, really good guy. But something else I was going to say too.
Could he hit?
Oh yeah, he could hit. He tried to switch hit quite a bit. Didn't impress me much from the left side, although he did hit a few home runs off of me, lefty. But yeah, from the right side, when he first came into the sport, he didn't have much success. Couldn't figure it out, but it didn't take him long. And, you know, Chad was still the stud hitter on the team, but Fiacco, you know, he was just up there just as well. But that was like 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere in that time frame. But anyway, those guys, Chris Bechtold, one of the best pitchers I think I've ever seen. Seemed like he only had 2 pitches as well, but he could put him anywhere you wanted him. He's a lefty, not a big guy, but definitely knew how to throw. And of course, everybody knows Mickey Hyde. He's a Hall of Famer without question. So were you able to talk to Bechtold at all? Anything back and forth with him?
No, I haven't. For years, I've been kind of meaning. Wanted to reach out to him. I think I've kind of tracked him down, but no, I haven't. This will probably be a good chance to send him this article, but no, I haven't reached out to him. I know he's still in Chicago, but yeah, I'd probably try to reach out to him, maybe get the article to him, see what he thinks.
Yeah. So I think, like you said in the article, Kevin Priestman, is he still running a Christmas tree farm somewhere in like Indiana? Or?
Yeah, he's still got the Christmas tree farm in Indiana. As far as I know, he's been doing that since he left his Parks job in Cincinnati when they had the national tournaments there. But he's still running the Christmas tree farm. Bechtold is still working for his family, or he's probably running now, I think, his family insurance company, family-owned insurance company in Chicago, or outside Chicago.
Yeah. So I can tell you an interesting story here for all the listeners about those 2 guys, Kevin Priestman, Chris Bechtold. So as you read in the article, Cincinnati was like the mecca for a couple of years for wiffle ballers from all around the country. They would travel there, and there was a championship called the North American Wiffle Ball Championship. And there were a couple of teams that were the teams to beat, Team Trenton, Lakeside Kings, and the Bechtold Bombers. And my team, we kind of squeaked in, and in 1996, I was playing as a 2-man team with another guy out of Georgia, and we made it to the Final Four somehow, and we met up with the Bechtold Bombers. And so my first time ever facing what I will call a real pitcher, Chris Bechtold. I mean, this guy was the real deal. So I decided I was going to use, I had 2 bats. I either had King Stick or I had a Lead Sledge. Both were aluminum bats. And I've been talking to guys, kind of getting some scouting tips on him on, what to do. Where should you stand in the batter's box? Move up, move back, move in, out, whatever. Where am I going to look for the ball? And I remember Jerome Coyles saying, that motherfucker, he throws the ball, and it's 4-inch. There's a 4-inch square on the outside corner, low corner. He goes, you wait on that pitch, kid. So I said, oh, okay. So sure enough, he gets up there, and I think a couple of bats, he strikes me out, and that pitch was there, sure enough. So we're getting down, I think, the last inning, and they're up a couple runs on us, and I think we have 1 on, and so I step up to plate. I'm batting right-handed against him. He throws me that pitch. I think I fouled it off. He throws me a changeup. I didn't have a clue. He comes back with that same slider from a lefty. It's coming in on the outside, and it's going to go to that little square Coyle told me about, and I crush it. And so Cincinnati, the championship field, was what's said to be a replica Fenway Park. So there's the Green Monster out in left field, and there must have been 75 guys watching this game, and they're all lined up in very close proximity to the field. So anyway, I hit that ball, and you hear ping, and there it goes. It's launching. It's going down the left field line, Carlton Fisk-like, right? And the ball, it's gone. But the problem is it was so high, you couldn't really tell, is it fair or foul? Because the foul poles didn't really, shoot that far up into the sky. Well, everybody that was watching the game, they wanted it to be gone because none of those SOBs wanted to play against Beckdahl. They wanted him out of the tournament, right? So I looked at it, and I'm like, I'm not taking it, man. That's foul ball. And they all looked at me, and they're like, no, that's a home run. That's a home run. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to take that, man. I won't be sure. So anyway, he struck me out, game over. And, the Bombers end up going to the championship game, I think, against, I think they played Trenton. But
Trenton.
Yeah. So anyway, Kevin Priestman walks up to me, and he says, I just met him that day. I never knew him prior to this. He says, Billy, he goes, man, I got to hand it to you. Hey, I've never seen anything like that before. He goes, and just for that, you're winning the sportsmanship award. So come and see me, after a while when we do trophy presentation. I'm looking at him. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. So, the championship game goes on. We sit back and we watch. Everybody's having a couple beers or whatever. And so after the tournament, we go over to the main table, and I see all these trophies out. There's Palanzar's MVP trophy, and they were made into clocks, and all second place. I see all these T-shirts, all this cool stuff spread out on this table. I'm looking around. I don't see a sportsmanship trophy at all. So I go up to Kevin. I said, was there some kind of an award or something to me? He looks at me, starts laughing, goes, no, bud, I was just joking with you. I was like, oh. They all looked at me like I was some kind of an idiot, So anyway, he got me pretty good.
Never be a nice guy.
Yeah, but he's a really nice guy. He was. It's too bad that he didn't stick around, because if he would have stayed involved with the sport, I'm sure it could have gone a lot more places sooner than what it actually did.
He got a lot of good media, real savvy with that. I mean, Sports Illustrated articles, just all over the place. Yeah. So you were able to speak with Mickey Hyde. Is that what you said? Yeah, Tim passed the article on to Tom Locascio, and he gave it to Mickey. And so he sent an email back with his thoughts. So I guess I should mention this one thing. He did mention that I left out of the article because I didn't see it in any of my research, was that in the article talks about 2004 Fast Classic NCT. There's an opening round game between Mickey Hyde's team in the box and Chuck Hensley's team, the Oldies but Goodies. So the game was a 2-1 game. Hensley lost. And what I omitted from the article that Mickey was kind enough to point out is that both the runs for in the box were solo shots that Hyde hit off of Hensley. So I would have known that, before the article, that it's a great detail. Two former, pros going at it, and really the whole game came down to them. Those two home runs. But it's nice thing to say about it. Same thing as Hensley, that just sort of appreciative that people remember this and take the time to write these interesting articles about stuff they did both in their baseball careers and in wiffle ball.
Yeah. I think I actually have a copy of that game, that video of
I'd love to see that.
In the box, Oldies but Goodies, and I think you're right. Mickey did hit a couple bombs in that. There wasn't a whole lot of hitting, period, but it was a really good game. And it's from a good angle too, so you really. I think actually Mickey may have sent that to me on DVD, so I'll have to dig that out somewhere. But I was going to say also some stuff about Chuck here. So I played against Chuck. I think I maybe faced him twice. But in case you don't know, Chuck is a huge guy. He's tall, big wind up. He's also a lefty. And by the time he releases the ball, he's like 5 feet away from you. And back in the day, the pitching distance was 3 feet closer than what it is today. So you really didn't have a chance in hell of hitting against Chuck Hensley. I mean, he was that dominating. And I think a lot of times he realized that and maybe didn't bear down quite as much. But as a whole, all of these guys that we've talked about, Bechtold, Mickey Hyde, Fiacco, and Chuck, with the exception of Priestman, because I never saw him play, but I always had the sense that they were really nice guys. You could go up and talk to them, have a conversation, great guys off the field. Just guys everybody wants to be around, get on the field, great sportsmanship, but they want to rip your heart out and piss on it, whenever you get onto the field. They have that drive in them that says, we're not losing, whatever it takes. And I always had that sense against them that you've got to step up your game, or else, you have no right. There's no reason for you even to be on the field if you can't step it up to be out there with these type players. But it was some tough games, and I think I lost to all of them, my first time playing against them. I know Mickey got me down in Georgia. I was playing with Bopper, and I think it was a Final Four game, and Bopper's trying to tell me, don't throw Mickey risers, don't throw him sliders. And I looked at him like, I can get it by him. I couldn't get it by him, crushed it, and they beat us. So, it's just you're dealing with a higher level player when you're with those type guys. So, but it's good, really good write up. One of the best ones I've ever seen, and I definitely recommend that everybody get over to the Mid-Atlantic Wiffle site, check it out. Dedicate some time, read it a couple times, and well worth it. So as far as you playing ball, Paul, how long do you think you will stay interested in playing our great sport? Something you think you'll try to stick with until you're like 75, or you think you're going to move on to some bigger and better things?
No, I mean, it's as long as someone will have me on their team, I plan on, continuing to play. Like I said before, coming back, I realized how much I missed it. I think I'm a better athlete now than I probably was, 15, 20 years ago. So I from that perspective, I don't see any reason to stop. But as long as guys will have me around, I plan on, keeping it going.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, didn't you tell me you do like marathons, running? Like that's another one of your passions, or?
Yeah, long distance running. Not really marathons yet, just half marathon distance. That's probably my I think it's athletic passion. But I like the contrast with wiffle ball because long distance running is very much a lone individual thing. Just out there thinking. I like having a team sport in there too. It's something different. But yeah, those are my two athletic passions.
Okay. So before we close out here, you want to tell us real quick about what you got coming up in from Mid-Atlantic? Anything new expected?
Yeah. So first, I just wanted to mention if you go to MidAtlanticWiffle.com, if you go to the drop section, you'll find all the articles in there. There's some other, if you like the baseball players article, and some other sort of long feature articles. Your guest next, Kel Johnson. I talked to him back in December, and I wrote an article on his jaw organization. That's in there. You'll enjoy talking to him, Billy. He's really sort of got a neat league there. He's sort of done it all. Really done it all unfiltered, without any sort of idea of what should be done and what shouldn't be done. And I think that's real good because that's how you get new ideas when you have guys out there thinking like that. So if you have a chance, if you like that article, check out the others. Mid-Atlantic articles, all that other stuff. Our first Mid-Atlantic tournament of the year is in 2 weeks, or a week and a half, I guess now, April 14th in York, Pennsylvania. As of this moment, we have 9 teams. We can only take 10 just because of space constraints. So we're hoping to fill up some pretty good teams and players. Stompers will be there. We're lucky enough to have Jordan Robles back with us this season again. He'll be playing with us on the 14th. My name is Earl, Connor Young's team. They've had a new left-handed pitcher that's real nasty, and I think if he stays healthy, he's really going to make a lot of waves these upcoming years. Some other veteran teams like Way Too Beautiful. Ben Sam's got a team coming. So, some real good players. I think it'll be a real good lineup. Weather's iffy. It keeps going back and forth between, some rain and no rain, but it looks like temperature-wise it should be good. So we're hoping, crossing our fingers that, rain holds off just enough to get it through. And then we're back. If anyone's, unable to make that tournament, we're back again on May 5th with our second tournament in York, Pennsylvania. And there's still spots left for that. So, check out the website and, love to see everyone at the tournament this summer.
Yeah, everybody check that tournament series out. You won't regret it. And Paul, I just want to say thanks for all your hard work, everything you do for Mid-Atlantic. It's really refreshing to see something new come up and start thriving immediately, and it's from all the hard work you and Tim have put into it. And keep doing those write-ups, man. I like those. They're excellent. And anytime you ever need anything from me, you know how to get a hold of me. I'll be here to help you out however I can. And definitely want to get you back on the show too as well. So keep that in mind, and we can get something worked out.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a good day, man. And say hi to Tim for us.
All right. That was a pretty good call there, Bill.
Yeah, Paul, he's a pretty good guy. Very smart. Knows the ins and the outs and the ups and downs of the game. And like I said, I've known him for a long time, and he just keeps getting better at what he does.
I would say sounds like he's got quite the writing background there, doing a lot of writing on articles, especially you said for the Oreos.
Not the Oreos.
Oh, I didn't mean the cookies.
Chips Ahoy.
Oh, Chips Ahoy. Okay.
No, he actually used to write a blog for the Baltimore Orioles, and I did read a few of those back when he was doing that, and they were very well written. So definitely a good guy. Let's see. What was I going to say here? What do we got going on? Anything new over there on your end?
Well, no, nothing new. I'm set up for about a 2-minute break. And then when we come back here on the Fast Plastic Radio Network, we will be reaching out to the great state of Washington to get a hold of Kel Johnson.
Is that Washington or Washington?
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah, it depends. If you're in the southern part of the United States, it may very well be Washington or Washington. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we take this hard break here. I'm going to make no, I don't need any more coffee. No.
Well, I was going to actually see if you would get me a cup.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Stick around to the Fast Plastic Radio Network. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
You're listening to the Fast Plastic Radio Network. Fast Plastic Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Frank Bartles, and this here's my partner, James Brown. As the weather starts getting too hot, we hope you will reach for one of these. New Bartles and James Brown wine cooler.
It tastes good.
They come in 3 funky flavors. Gravity grape, prime of passion fruit, and my personal favorite, papaya.
Papaya's got a brand new bag.
It'll get you off faster than a big city lawyer. And a single pack serves 6 to 10, just like
Bartles and James Brown wine coolers. The cooler, made in the cooler.
Now,
hi, Gordon. What you been up to? Big things, Fred. I'm a full-time student at bartending college. Wow. I never had time for a formal education. Well, I decided to make time, but it's not easy. Bartending college is a 4-week course. Gee, how far along are you? Well, let's see. This is Tuesday, the 3rd week. Hey, I'm a junior, and I'm late for a daiquiri lecture. Why don't you join me? Why not?
Bartending College.
You've already spent enough time on the other side of the bar to qualify for enrollment.
Bartending College.
We'll teach you everything you need to know. You'll get a starter set of bartenders' jokes like,
So I says to the guy, you can stay, but the cow's gotta go.
Bartending College.
you'll learn how to roll drunks, water the liquor, and skim the cash register. And remember, as the bartender, you drink for free. Last call for integrity.
What you call psychotic behavior, we call company policy. Thanks for rocking with WROC 93.5 The Rock.
Hi, this is Ozzy Osbourne. For many years, you know, I've had a drink problem, and I'm trying to.
Do you know there are only 44 sounds in the English language? When you learn these 44 sounds, you can read and spell almost everything. It's James Brown's Phonics. We've set these 44 sounds to music, making learning to read simple and fun. Learn these 44 sounds, and you'll be getting on the good foot, just like the godfather of soul. James Brown's Phonics. Call 1-800. That's 1-800.
You're listening to the Fat Plastic Radio Network. It's about the game.
And we're back with the Fast Plastic Radio Network here on 93.5 The Rock. I'm JB. And, of course, the host of the show, Billy O.
Hey, JB. So how'd that first segment go, you think?
I thought it went pretty good.
On a scale of 1 to 2, what would you give it?
I would probably say a 2.
2? Yeah, I think so. So one thing I wanted to say before I forget here. So I've booked the guest already for next week, and it will be Mark DeMacy, the Bopper.
The Bopper.
Wait, I thought he died in a plane crash.
That's what I thought. Him and Richie Valens, actually.
Richie Valens, wasn't he the guy on Happy Days?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this Bopper is not the same Bopper that died with Happy Days guy, the Fonz or whatever. This is Mark DeMacy. Had the nickname the Bopper. We're going to find out why he had that nickname, but he did say he was going to block out the time for us to be on the show next week. I'm hoping he didn't mean he was going to block me out.
Well, you know, it very possibly could have meant that. He is tuned in tonight, so
okay.
He's checked in on Facebook Live watching us right now.
And there will be a lot of discussion, him and I going back and forth, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. We could probably take up the whole 2-hour show, but I may try to get on a second guest as well. Just who can only take so much of the Bopper, you know.
They say a little Bopper goes a long way. Is that what you're saying?
A lot of Bopper goes a long way.
A lot of Bopper goes a little way.
That too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be definitely a lot of fun for me talking to him, and I haven't actually talked to him in quite a while. But what else, JB? We got anything else? Any other burning issues?
Well, I don't know if we've got any burning issues, but we've got some cold issues going on right now. You know, as we talked about the weather, and you talked about that the potential effect on upcoming tournaments as the season kicks off.
Yeah, you know, we seem like we're in this weather pattern. It's just winter will not give up. And I know, you know, the following weekend, not this weekend, there's a lot more action coming up. And I hope that we can get through that and guys can get some games in. So we'll see.
Well, you know, earlier I commented about your Cousin Eddie hat that you were wearing because you were kind of cool in here. Right. I just happened to notice as I was looking at the monitor, you've got the patented Cousin Eddie white shoes on also.
And, I do.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's a little story behind those. You want to hear it?
Absolutely.
Do we have time?
Yeah, we've got time. We've got about 10 minutes here.
All right. So yeah, those are my Cousin Eddie wiffle ball shoes. Tell everybody who Cousin Eddie is.
You know, Cousin Eddie, you know, Vacation, the TV show, the movies, you know, Clark, let me tell you, you know,
yeah.
Buy yourself something nice for me.
Shitter was full.
Yeah. Morning. Yeah. Shitter's full.
So anyway, story behind these shoes is I played on a team called the Texas Marshals, and our colors were green, white, and gold. And we had this thing within the team where we're always trying to outdo each other with things we wore, hats, whatever. And so I went out and I bought these shoes to wear. And for the NCT, I think in 2005, I wore these. That was the only time I ever wore them. I haven't worn them since. That was it, one time.
Well, now it's twice.
There you go. They are green and white Adidas, some type of a leather track shoe. They have like turf knobbies or something like that on the bottom. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to break those out tonight. So,
well, you know, you're talking about how cool that is. I want to just brag a little bit about my days of the Canadian rock throwing championship and my trophy that I brought in and put in here. If you've just tuned in or tuned in late and didn't hear us talk about it, the big rock there, that was the first place championship trophy that I won many years ago during the rock throwing championship.
Yeah. So when you got up on the podium and the tournament league organizer says, JB, to showcase your talent and winning this prestigious event, we present you with a rock. Is that
well, it's the prestigious rock.
Okay.
And it took I had to have somebody help me hold it up because, you know, it doesn't appear to be very big, but it's very dense and heavy. So it took two people to hold it up, at least up over my head. Of course, after 5 hours of throwing rocks during the tournament, you really get tired, and I'm sure you can relate to that for pitching during the wiffle ball games.
Yeah, you do wear out. I think you would wear out quicker throwing rocks. But what time we got? How we looking?
Currently it's 7 after the hour, and if you want to talk for just a minute, I will get our second guest on the phone, Cal Johnson from the great state of Washington.
Yeah, before you do that, if you don't mind, a few things. Can you tell listeners how they can listen to and view the show? And
I absolutely will.
And then after we do the this next segment, we probably will have a little bit of time to take any phone calls. If any, I know guys are just stacking up out there waiting to call us. So,
absolutely. So, of course, Facebook Live, WROC The Rock is our Facebook page, and we broadcast live via Facebook. Also, if you go to Fast Plastic on YouTube, the Fast Plastic channel, we do broadcast live on there. So both channels there have got us on right now. And if you're not on a computer and you're on your smartphone or smartphone, you can tune in to WROC 93.5.radiostream321.com. That will get you to our Listen to My Radio app and channel there, so you can just listen strictly to the audio of this show that's going on right now. And of course, I will encourage everybody to send us some feedback, since this is the second show with all the new upgrades here. WROC 93.5 The Rock at gmail.com. You can email us, tell us what you think, tell us about anything you might think we should improve on or change, or just say, hey, you know what, you guys are kicking ass.
Or tell us you want to be on the show.
Absolutely. And of course, you can always Facebook message us also and give us feedback. And our phone line here, 618-200-9260, gets us right here in the studio. Right now, we're not taking calls, but after our second guest, we may have time to open up the phone lines and take a couple calls.
Yeah. All right. Very good. So, JB was talking a little bit there about Fast Plastic. He was kind of tripping over words, not really getting it right. Well, there's a story. One time we were in, a few of us were in LA doing this video shoot for the sports science deal. And one of the pitchers they brought in, a minor league player, he was really interested in the whole pro wiffle ball deal. And we were talking to him, and he kept thinking that we were calling it Fast Bastard. So anybody, if you're looking to get into the sport, it is not called Fast Bastard. All right. So please make a note of that. Also, I really recommend guys get out and listen to the Two Wiffle Dudes podcast. Carl Coffey, he heads that up. He does a great job. They cover all things NWLA, and they venture outside of that occasionally. But it's a very good show. Great listening. Of course, our old buddy DP Jim Dalby, and I think he's still getting Brock on there, and they do the West Coast Wiffle Report. Check those out. A lot of historic shows that are still out there somewhere.
All right, Bill, we've got Cal Johnson from the great state of Washington on the phone. Welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, good to have you. Is it Cal? I'm sorry.
It's kale, yeah,
Kale.
like the vegetable.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
With the C.
You can't, JB.
My apologies.
He's butchering everything tonight. So yeah, you know,
I've taken one too many rocks to the head. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it happens all the time.
So Cale, thanks for coming on tonight, man. I've been trying to absorb as much information as I can about this league that you got going on out there. Seems like you got a lot of great things happening, and it's very interesting. First question I want to ask you is, where are you actually located? I couldn't pinpoint that on the website, so I'm overlooking it or I'm just not very smart.
No, I'm sure that would be a tough thing to figure out from Illinois. Is that where you guys are from?
Yeah, way down yonder. Yeah.
So we are about an hour north, a little less than an hour north of Portland, which is in Oregon, and then we're like a couple hours south of Seattle, so kind of in that range. It's basically Southwest Washington.
Okay. All right. Well, that's actually.
But we have players that stretch all the way to Olympia.
Yeah.
We just play the games out of Castle Rock, which is in those kind of coordinates I gave you.
Right. So how far would you be from, say, Eugene? Is that going the opposite way?
Well, yeah, Eugene is about, I want to say like an hour and a half south of Portland.
Okay.
Which is also where I was born. That's a fun fact there for you. But yeah, what do you know some people in Eugene or?
Well, I've known guys over the years that are scattered throughout the Pac Northwest that were players. I'll kind of talk a little bit about that coming up here. So I was just curious, you know, if main thing I'm curious is if you know any of these guys, if any of them have reached out to you. But like I said, I'll get to that here shortly. But one thing I do want to ask you right out of the gate, not going to beat around the bush. So on your website, I saw the quote, and this is quote, the world's best wiffle ball. The
world's best wiffle ball league.
World's best wiffle ball league. Yeah. Tell me how you came up with that, why you came up with it, and have you anybody made any comments to you about that? Because that's pretty bold, I would have to say.
I don't know. I would say it's mostly just a punchline, I guess, or a tagline, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
There, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty good league. I mean, I've looked around at a bunch of other leagues across the country. I would say that our media coverage and things like that for the league is probably better than anyone else's. Talent-wise, I don't know. That's kind of a hard thing to gauge because it's not like football's on TV or anything.
Right.
But I think we have some pretty good players. I think our whole setup and structure is pretty good compared to most any other league you can find out there. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just
well, I would have to say I actually like it. I think you've done well with choosing those words. I think it's a good thing, and I'm not bashing you at all. So I think that more people should take notice. So So you're talking a little bit about, you think you've got the best media coverage in the country. I mean, what media coverage have you received so far? What would you say is above and beyond?
I mean, the way that we put it out. So like the way we cover our own league. I don't know if you've ever, I don't know, how'd you find us? How'd you find out about our league?
I think my first encounter was it came up on a search engine somehow. But then after I read Paul Cook's write-up he did a couple months ago, I got a lot more familiar with what you guys are doing. So
okay. So just, I mean, when I mean media coverage and stuff, I just mean all the stuff we put out that, I guess, showcases our league and kind of makes it feel like ESPN to all the people that are part of it and stuff. Just the way that it's spotlight. I don't know if you ever have the time to go on like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and look at any of our pages. We try to really make it look big and
yeah, I agree.
Flashy, I guess.
It does that. You've done a really great job with that. I
was gonna say, Kel, if you would, why don't you put out those pages, your Facebook page and stuff like that, so all the listeners out there, if they want to look up your pages and stuff, they'll know where to go.
Yeah, so Instagram and Twitter would just be, I think, let me look real quick. I'm pretty sure it's just JAL_wiffleball is our app. Like a little @ sign at JAL_wiffleball. And Facebook, if you just search JAL Wiffleball, I'm sure it'll come up, our page. We have thousands of followers on all those. We post multiple things a day. They're pretty high-end graphics and stuff that are that we put together for it. So and that kind of stuff is what has allowed, I think, the league to grow so much, because all the people in the league and all the followers and fans we have of it, it's almost really more about like following along a storyline than it is just getting out there and playing, because it adds a whole nother. I know that aren't even part of the league, but they follow it, and they, it's about seeing if this particular year, for instance, the Underdogs franchise, which has been around for a really long time in our league, and they've kind of have this storyline that they're the cursed franchise. They've never won a championship. They've pretty much always been bad for the first time, and like almost actually good this year and have a chance to win. And so it's to win the championship. And so it's our league, I feel like, is almost more about just following those kind of things and keeping kind of like reading a book than it is just getting out there and, playing some games. I think that's what we do better than any other league in the country.
Yeah, you're recording the history of the league, which is very, very cool. You can go back and reference different players and statistics and things like that, which I enjoy, and I know a lot of other guys really like that. And unfortunately, in this sport, since I've been involved with it, there hasn't been a whole lot of that available to players. So you're doing an excellent job at preserving that. One thing I wanted to ask you, I see that you have guys that actually own a team. How does somebody own a team? What's that process? Can anybody call you up and say, I would like to start a team, or I would like to own, whatever your best team in the league currently is? How would that happen?
So it all kind of started out with 4 franchises way back when. And basically the whole thing set up like the MLB or NBA or NFL, where the players are under contract. I mean, it's not like real money, but it's in terms of the amounts that players get paid and stuff, but it's real money. And so it's kind of structured like that. And so when you think of like who's the owner of the team, I mean, it really is kind of like if you were owning, say, the Chicago Cubs or something, obviously on a way lower in, but it's supposed to kind of have that feel and structure. So there's 12 franchises now. How you would go about owning one, I mean, through time, or when we were expanding up to 12, obviously anytime the league would get to a point where we felt, you know, we could add on other teams. Basically, I don't know, people have just approached us and asked if they could do so, and we've allowed that. Now, we don't really want to go above 12 teams. We've kind of been comfortable with that the last couple of seasons. That's where we want to stay, at least for now. So how you would own a team now, I guess, is just, you know, one of the current owners of one of the franchises wants to step away from it or give it to someone else or something. We haven't had any ownership changes for, I think, 2 seasons now. So I'm sure one will come up sometime in the next season or so, because they usually turn over a little quicker than that, but that's how it would happen. And then basically if a franchise opened up, we would probably just put a thing out like this. You know, anyone who follows the league would know about it, because going back to the way we cover the league with media and stuff, that would, you know, be a breaking news type of thing. And then we'd probably put out a thing that was like, you know, there's this franchise is kind of up for grabs, put in applications or something along like that, along the lines of that, to maybe own that team.
So
but no one technically owns the team. I mean, it says in our like little copyrights and stuff, if you look more into our stuff, that the teams are really me and my 2 brothers, who are the owners and commissioners of the whole JL. So the people basically, they're kind of renting out the team.
I got you. So,
but most all the teams too have like a general manager or something too at this point. So I would say probably half the teams have like an owner who just kind of owns it to say he can own it, but he really essentially hires out a GM that kind of calls the shots with getting recruiting the players and all those kind of things.
Yeah, so that makes a lot more sense, or it's a little bit clearer now to me, because I've always had an interest in owning a team somewhere, you know, going back to the days, I don't know if you know much about Golden Stick, but I was actually wanting to buy a Golden Stick team way back when he was thinking about doing that. And I had a discussion with Palisades about it. I, at one point, was going to start a professional league in fast plastic and all this stuff. So anyway, that's always intrigued me. I've thought about that. So that's why I brought it up. But I want to switch here to talk about your gameplay rules, things like that, because you have some very unique rules that I see. And I'm just going to read through some notes I have here, and then you can kind of comment on them or give me a better picture of what the dynamics of your game is. So I see you allow 1 pitch per batter, and if the pitch is a ball, it results in a base on ball or a walk. And I've noticed that a lot of your games are pretty low scoring. You have the pitcher's mound area is basically 8 feet in diameter across. And I'm wondering, I didn't see any mention of a pitching rubber or a pitcher's plate. And I'm wondering if one of those exists, or if you allow the pitcher to position himself anywhere within that circle. And then also I noticed you had a 10-run, didn't see a 10-run rule, but I see a 10-run maximum run scored per inning, which means that you could have, 50 to 40 possibly as a score, but I didn't see any scores like that. So if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about those aspects of your league.
Sure. I'll try to tackle all that here. Let me know if I missed anything. I'll start from, I think, where you started, which was with the 1 pitch rule. Is that where?
Yeah.
Was that kind of the first thing you said? Okay, so it's definitely a fast-paced, moving game because of that. We kind of came to that rule because, we from the beginning different. You know, we knew that's how it would stand out a little more. And also, I've always kind of thought, and the other people have too, when we were building, and even now, just fans of baseball. The biggest complaint with baseball is, and with football to some degree, is that the game is slow and gets boring. Like fifth inning of a baseball game, 1 out, 2-1 count. It's nobody on. It's kind of boring. So we kind of put in that rule just to make every moment of the game matter, make it a big moment, make it pressure filled. Something's going to happen on that pitch. That's what we wanted, because these games aren't on national TV or anything. It's just a really cool wiffle ball league, and so we tried to make every moment as big a moment as you can make it, with trying, at the same time, staying within the realms of what is wiffle ball / baseball. So that's how we came to that rule. And there's always people, even within our own league, and especially outside the league, but that say you should change to a count of some sort, whether it be 2-1 or 3-2. Now that JL is kind of a big thing, and you're not trying to get noted, get as you've kind of made it, so to speak. So you should go to that now. But there's our league's been founded on this. It'd be a weird thing to just change to that now. We take stats, so all the stats wouldn't make sense if you tried to compare seasons to seasons. If you were to change, that'd be a huge change, and it's just kind of part of our identity now. So and I think there's a lot of people too that, outside of just myself, I would say the majority of people in the league like it. And so there's that part. And then I'm trying to think what was next.
Well,
I think you were talking about the pitching circle.
Yeah, but before we get into that, let me add this or ask you this. So I understand the one pitch rule. I kind of like that. It makes sense for what you're doing. It does sort of add action some way to the game itself. It's easier probably to follow if you're a spectator. But my question to that would be, don't you run into situations to where you have a dominating pitcher and it just, you can throw, 15. Have you ever had a 15 pitch game by chance?
This season we actually had an 18 pitch game by the guy who's considered in our league to be the greatest player of all time in our particular league. He won the game on 18 pitches, but one of those ones that not a strike was a home run. So there is still hitting. To me, if a pitcher's good, they're going to dominate the game, whether it's one pitch or a 3-2 count. At the end of the day, they're going to dominate. So to me, it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
And I think on the outside, people probably look at it the way you were describing there. Well, if you made it more, if you added a count, that might change. But I think really, if you did it one way or the other way, you're still going to probably end up with the same results. So,
yeah, my take on the game ever being televised is it's never going to happen, just simply because nobody can follow it. It doesn't make any sense. You have to be a player. You have to have played at some higher level to, first of all, even be interested and then understand what's going on. So what you've done is you've notched out or taken off a huge bit of that aspect of the sport that is not viewer friendly by going to the one pitch. So I get it. The other thing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially because one of the big things that we do is we broadcast every game live on Twitter, on either Twitter or Facebook. We stream it live, and we can't put in a scoreboard like you can for an MLB game that shows, what the count is, how many outs there are. So just having it be one pitch, that's easy to follow even without that kind of a outline to be able to look at while it's going. if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So the other thing I was going to ask you too was about the pitcher's mound. Is there a rubber that the pitcher has to throw from, or can he be positioned anywhere within that circle, the 8-foot diameter?
There's no rubber. There's it's just it's literally just a circle that is painted. Yeah, you have the correct dimensions. 8-foot diameter or whatever. I don't know. I wasn't good in geography. But yeah, so basically from the center of the circle, you have 4 feet ahead of you in every direction.
Yeah.
Most pitchers they start about the middle of the circle and they're releasing at the edge of the circle, of course. So, and the center of the circle is 45 feet. Right. So you're essentially releasing from about 41 feet each time.
Can your stride carry you over the boundaries of the circle?
You just have to. You can't be stepping outside of the line when you release. So yeah, pretty much every pitcher is going to end up outside the circle.
Yeah.
But you can't release you can't release with a foot outside of it. And we put little cones in front of the line because as the game days go on, those lines kind of get hazy and whatnot. So basically you can't go past the cones that we put out there.
So what's the highest scoring game that you've had that you can remember? Because I mentioned the 10-run max per inning.
Yeah, I'll explain that. We've kind of changed that 10-run thing a couple times throughout our league history, but basically what that rule is our games are 5, can't go over 20, and the second can't go over 30, and the third. So theoretically, you could have 3 points going, or 3 runs going into the third, and you could score up to 27 runs that inning, whereas in the first inning, you could only score up to 10. So the highest you can ever score is 50. That never has happened. I think the highest scoring game we've ever had for one particular team was like 40, like low 40s, but that was without their main pitcher you're going to find in any legitimate game, or the team has their main pitcher there. It's 20.
Okay. So what percentage?
Because I mean, you would think the thing you got to factor in is that there's the easiest way to lose a game in our league is to walk players. You know, you miss you throw a ball, the guy's on base, and that's how you lose a game in our league quicker than anything else.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you how what percentage of players are using the yellow banana bat?
None of them. The yellow bat was the regulation bat up until JL 13 was the last season of that, and we're in the middle of JL 17 right now. So for the last 4 seasons, the rule that it changed to was that you could use a bat that basically is approved by league official. Ball has to be just a wood bat replica in plastic. So there's about 4 different bats that get used by players. You got the Easton Pro Sticks. We're not using the yellow anymore.
So why did the commissioners of the league decide to abandon the yellow banana bats? Was there issues that you come to mind?
Too hard.
Too hard what? The bats were too hard?
No, it's too hard to hit with those things.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
Especially with where our pitching was. Yeah, our pitching had gotten really good, and it got too. I mean, hitting's still not with those bats. So, I mean, with the ones we have now, I can't imagine trying to play with the yellow bats anymore.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, that yellow banana bat has career of many a player over the years, because they're not aware that there's anything else that they could use, you know, and they're like, man, this is just dumb, and they just stop playing. So, but I'm glad to see you guys are using the Easton and those type bats. Those are really good bats, and I have a theory that those bats should be more popular today than ever, because pitching is so much better and it's easier to hit today than
I
what
would
it was.
say of all the rule changes we've made over time, that was the most one that people were excited and happy about. And I think we did it at the right time, because if we'd have waited another season or two, it would have been horrible.
Yeah.
I honestly wish we would have even changed to those maybe a season or two before we did. But it's in a good place now with using those bats, I would say.
Yeah, that's great. You guys did that. So I'm going to shift here now, and I want to get back to what I originally was telling you, is that once upon a time, the Pacific Northwest used to have a very large following of players up there. And I'm wondering if you are aware of that. And if you are, have you spoken to any of the guys that used to run tournaments and leagues up there? Are any of them playing in your league? And then I want to talk a little bit about the level of competition that used to exist, because these guys would travel down to the national championship tournament in Austin and were very competitive. One team in particular, called the Rolling Blackouts, I think in 04 or 05, didn't give up a run in the tournament, but they were eliminated because of pitching duels. So that gives you an idea. They went up against the very best players in the world, and I think they were from Seattle, did not give up a single run in. You know anything about these guys?
I don't know anyone from Seattle. The only past wiffle ball people I would know about would be, you might know of a league that existed, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. It was called the CCWA.
No, I haven't heard of that one. I was actually during my dark ages, so I was out of the sport for a few years, and that was during that time. But this would have been back in like 2000 through probably 2006, maybe, whenever it was.
Yeah, I would have only been in 6th grade in 2006, so I wouldn't have known too much about that. I'm only 23, so you can't go back too far on me.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But no, there was a league out there there was a league out here called the CCWA that, from what I understand, was a pretty solid league. And actually, that league's old commissioner, he plays in our league now, and several of their top players are in our league and playing, and they're good players. So that's the only one that I would know of.
Okay. Talking to Cale Johnson, he is the commissioner of JAL Wiffle Ball League, located in the Pacific Northwest. What was the name of the town again that you said, Cale?
The town, I guess, the headquarters that you, so to speak, is Castle Rock, Washington.
Castle Rock, Washington. That sounds like a very prominent location, is it?
It's about 3,000 people that live here, so it's not too big. It's your typical small town USA, I guess.
Well, you're not like we are, where you have to climb up a telephone pole here to get out any communications at times. So it sounds like
is that right?
Yeah. So.
Well, we live right off a major highway, I-5, so
okay.
We're able to draw, people from Portland and Olympia and whatnot a little bit. So.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Small town guys make a big difference, in my opinion. So more power to you. So you mentioned that you feel that your guys are very competitive. Are all your guys baseball guys, background in baseball? And did you play baseball? Are you very athletic? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, I'll start with our guys. It's a mix. I mean, a lot of players in our league have baseball background. A lot don't. The kid I was talking about earlier, Kyle Godino, who's the best player, the greatest of all time, I guess that you would say, in our league. He's a pitcher, and he's the most dominant pitcher over time that there's ever been in our league. And he didn't even pitch in high school baseball. He was like a catcher. So It's just a lot different throwing a baseball and a wiffle ball. I think anyone across the country will probably tell you that. There's some of the best players in our league. Were very good, like high school baseball players. You didn't play baseball at all. So I mean, to me, it's a completely different game than baseball, especially with the one pitch rule that we have. So, I mean, and then as for myself, I didn't play baseball in high school or anything. I actually quit playing baseball when I was in 6th grade. I wish I wouldn't have, but I was a big basketball player when I was growing up. So I played basketball through the spring and whatnot, which is, a lot of people think it's kind of funny that I started a wiffle ball league having not even played baseball all the way through my sports career. Yeah. I also played football in high school. But I don't know, it's just, wiffle ball is kind of a game that, and this is kind of what I thought when I was starting the league with my brothers. And I think why it's successful now for us. It's a game that everyone has played in their life. Everyone knows how to pick it up, right off the bat. You don't really have a feeling that you need to have practiced or have any sort of background in baseball or need to be practicing all the time to be good at it. You can kind of just go out there and do it. It doesn't really require any athleticism too much. So that's kind of how it came to be for me and for us.
Yeah. So,
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did. That was great. So basically what you're telling me is you've got a lot of athletes that are playing in your league. That's good to hear. Because there's a lot of leagues that come and go where the guys playing really aren't that athletic, and the leagues usually don't stick around long because of that, because they move on to other things in life, whereas an athlete has to find an outlet to get those juices, those competitive juices flowing, so that's good that you guys have that. Hopefully, you can keep that thing going for years to come, and we can be having discussions like this ongoing. Last thing I want to ask you here before we close out is, you're talking about how you believe your guys are really good. I mean, what have you done, or have you guys ever considered gauging your talent? And my experiences have always been, there's been guys like you that you have something good going, but you want to, you kind of want to branch out and see what else is out there. Take some of your better players, go play somebody out of your area just to see what, can we compete? Are we better than they are? Have you ever thought about that?
I think yes and no. I think it's easier said than done. I mean, to my knowledge, we're basically the only wiffle ball league in all of the Pacific Northwest that is on the level that we're on. So there's really not like another league out there that we could try to go compare ourselves to realistically. I mean, it sounds good, but I don't think anyone's going to want to pay hundreds of dollars to get on a plane and fly out to Texas or wherever and see if we're as good of wiffle ball players as some other people in leagues out there. I mean, I think that's just kind of unrealistic, but it's fun to think about. I mean, I've watched videos of other leagues and other players that are said to be really good and have gone to national tournaments and whatnot. And I'm not saying any of our guys are better than that, but I think just watching the tape and I think we could compete, maybe win. I mean, who knows? But I don't know if it's ever. I think the only way that we would be able to do something like that is if there was a way to travel that wouldn't be like so expensive,
Yeah. Well, you're kind of overlooking one thing though. What if those guys came to you? What if you got the call one day?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone can come play with us. I mean,
So
we're not against it. It's just the logistics of it, you know.
Right.
And then,
well, traveling today isn't as easy as it used to be. So, and it's a lot more expensive. So I'm with you on that. But I don't know, just my desires as a player has always been, you know, I can beat my guys in my own backyard, but I want to find out if I can beat those guys in their backyard. And I always ventured out to see. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I did, but it was fun. You make connections, you meet other people, networking, you know, and so that's why I was asking, you know, because I know way back when, you know, I mentioned that there used to be guys that used to play up there and were very organized. They were the same, I mean, almost to a T. What you just told me, that was almost their exact same approach. You had a handful of them that wanted to get out and compete, see what else was out there. But for the most part, the main base of players, I think their exact words were, yeah, you know, we're more into hunting and fishing than we are traveling to play wiffle ball, which I get it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's always fun to discuss, you know, and see, but don't be surprised if someday you got, you know, a team of guys say, hey, we want to come up and play your all-star team, and let's put $500 on the side and see who's got what. So.
No, that'd be fun. Yeah, any players out there or the leagues that would want to come over here and play with us. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of our people would say no. What I think someone should try to put together sometime is someone needs to figure out how to make wiffle ball like the NCAA basketball tournament and have it end with a national Final Four somewhere. But to that point, make it like a big tournament regionally where you kind of work your way there. I know there's like an NWLA tournament or something like that goes on every year, but I don't think it's quite structured like that.
No, it's a different game altogether for the most part. But you said you're 23, but there used to be a format like that back years ago, and it did go to two teams were paid to fly into a centralized location and compete in a series for a championship, and it got to a Final Four, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. But you just got to go back and check your. You said you weren't very good at geometry. Were you very good at history in school?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that. That's the best scenario.
If anyone wanted to try to put that together, then I would help do that, because that would be a very cool thing. If that could be something.
Well, it can be done. So maybe I'll be talking to you more and more. But I definitely want to talk to you more about your league, you know, and you can keep me posted. If you got news, you can always come on the show here and we can talk about it, and I can get the word out about what you guys got going on, because you do have a great thing going up there. And really appreciate you taking the time tonight to come on, Cale.
Yeah, thank you for wanting to have me on and bringing a little attention to our league to your listeners and whatnot. It's very cool, and I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. You have a good night, and like I said, let's talk again soon, all right?
All right, yeah, do that. All right, thanks again.
Yep. All right, Cale Johnson. Where was he from, JB?
The great state of Washington. I think he said Castle Rock.
Castle Rock, Oregon, or Washington?
I believe Washington. Yeah. I want to share that I did share their Facebook page on our page. So It's been shared. So listeners can check out the JAL Wiffle Association. I guess that's what, I don't know if it's association or league or what, but it is on the Facebook page for WROC The Rock.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting talk there with him, and I definitely will have him on again. And
I'm kind of curious about the whole team ownership, franchises and stuff like that, because it got to me thinking, if you can see the back of my chair, you know, we've we're actually doing sponsorships on the back of the chairs here. So that's an idea. So
yeah, if you want to get your league logo information in the studio, we can put it up in some prime locations in here.
Prime real estate.
Yeah. Are you open for tattoos?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how big of a tattoo we can get back here.
Yeah.
But maybe if the price is right.
Okay. We have any time left for a call if anybody wants to call?
We do. Yeah, we do. If there's anybody there like to give us a call, 618-200-9260. Call in and talk to Billy O and myself here at Fast Plastic Radio.
Yeah, so next week we'll have Mark DeMacy on for a segment, and I will have a second guest unannounced as of right now. I've got a few guys in mind, though. It should be a pretty good show. What else was I going to say? Yeah, those Pacific Northwest guys have always been kind of fickle. Like, Kale's pretty cool. He was a nice guy, but in the past, the guys I've dealt with over the years, always some odd ducks, so to speak. One team, you know anything about the Amish?
A little bit.
Did you know they have an electricians union?
No, I did not. That's kind of strange.
They sponsored a wiffle ball team, the Amish Electricians Union. They were from Seattle,
really,
Bremerton area, Puyallup, or however you pronounce that. They would travel down to Austin and play in the national championships tournament.
Did they travel in horse and buggy or?
Well, that's what I always wondered, But there's a video clip that used to be out there that said that they were the Amish Electricians Union, and they were asked, well, did the Amish ever use you guys? And they're like, no, they never do, but if they ever need an electricians union, we're here for them. That was pretty good. That was old buddy of mine, Todd Bullion. He used to run the league up there in the Northwest.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Pretty good.
So I guess no callers, which is probably a good thing because we're running out of time. I've got quite a few texts tonight from guys scattered about, so thanks for those. I didn't get a chance to reply to you, but
we've had quite a few comments here on Facebook about being a good show. One from Babs Big Flies. It says, I'm digging the show. Sounds great in Northern California.
Oh, yeah.
So we appreciate it. Appreciate the feedback.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody for listening tonight. And we'll be back next Wednesday. One thing I wanted to ask you, JB. So I noticed when we started the show tonight, it was still daylight outside.
Yes.
Because we got a bit of sun a while ago, and we haven't had that in a few months. And feels strange to be in the studio during daylight. So I'm wondering if we should push the shows back.
Well, I mean, that's possible. That is definitely something that we could definitely look into and see how that works out.
Yeah. Anybody has any feedback on that? Shoot it to me at fastplasticnct@gmail.com. And if you want to be on the show, let me know. Email me, Facebook us, all that stuff, and we'll get it set up. And I guess pretty much I think that's all I've got for tonight.
That's it? You're saying you're finished?
I think I'm finished.
Well, I'm going to try something tonight, a little bit different. I don't know if this will get us banned or not from YouTube. They're so fickle on how they do things. You can't have anything that's not generic on there. And for the most part, our show is very original for us.
I do have one thing I want to plug, so go ahead and finish.
No, you go right ahead.
Yeah, I almost forgot. Everybody, you get a chance, get on the World Wide Web and check out Wifflepedia.com. Wifflepedia.com, very cool site that has just popped up, and it's actually out there to log the history of the sport. Like I was talking to Kale about history. Well, Wifflepedia.com. Check it out.
All right. Well, I'm going to try something a little different here. So if I can find what I'm looking for here, if we can just stretch this out for just a minute longer, because I think I have a way of getting around the infringement rights that they like to call, lovely YouTube and all that jazz, because they get so finicky about how things work. So, just bear with me. Also, if you guys, you do want to get in and email us, you can do so, WROC935 The Rock. You can, of course, message us on Facebook, WROC The Rock. And, of course, check out the Fast Plastic YouTube channel. Our shows will be on there. You can definitely listen to, rewatch them, comment, stuff like that. I have another jersey there that's made its way into the studio. What's that one from, Bill? Okay. I can't hear you. Okay. So, okay. Yard ball. I gotcha. All right. So, I'm still trying to find what I'm looking for here. Why don't you get back on the mic and talk for a minute with me? Give me some time to find what I want to find. Okay.
What is it you're looking for over there?
I'm looking for, it's in here. I just got to find it. I'm looking for this closer I have, and I can't find it now.
Oh, I thought maybe you're looking for some nude pics of my girlfriend or something like that.
No.
Have any of those, by the way?
I do not. I just found what I was looking for here. So let's see if this here works. Can't do it there. That'll get us kicked fast. So let me go through here. Just bear with us, folks. I want to try something new. I want to see how this works. Kind of a new deal, a gimmick. I don't know. It may not even work. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not showing up in here. Oh well. I'll just do it the other way, and we'll see how it works.
All right.
Yeah. Get my computer to work for me correctly here. So anyhow, this is JB and Billy O on the Fast Plastic Radio Network saying we'll catch you next week, same time, same bat channel, right here on 93.5 The Rock. And I hit the wrong one.
I bid you farewell, arrivederci, sayonara, and all that sort of jazz.
What's that smell?
Adios, you chicken-plucking little stinker! Come on! Quit stalling! As I was saying, Buster, this planet ain't big enough for the two of us. Oh, off you go!
Well, I can't do any more damage around this popsicle stand. I'm out of here!
Corporate Succotash, I wish you'd reconsider.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
When I say whoa, I mean whoa!
Do I hear amen?
You're mocking me, aren't you?
Darn, that's the end.